It's kind of surprising, like, you get a hero like Meepo, his signature OG, catching you off guard. That shouldn't end up happening, but they were forced to look at game number 1, and they banned the Tiny instead. And now we'll see if OG have what it takes in what is most definitely a comfort zone to bring down CDEC 2-0, the team that basically crushed across TI 5. And even though they did fall short, they were still a top contender. OG now is their turn to try and look for an opening, as again, just like game number 1, an aggressive move into CDEC's jungle to establish control.
And this time around, CDEC are not going to try to fight them. I think they have a better chance at the level 1 fight this game than they did at the previous one. But they show some respect to OG here, and of course the reason is XC was not there with his Tusk, and he is one of the absolute key heroes to try to take that fight. So they're going to accept that OG basically just invade their jungle and ward. They did get one down of their own around top, and as long as they get the rune for their Alchemist, I think they're okay with this exchange. And it looks like they will.
Yep. No pressure, just let it go. And we'll start to see our lanes. So what exactly do we get? So it will be an off-lane Ember Dazzle against the safe lane Lion Doombringer. Aggressive on that hero, and then Shiki, with the help of Silencer at the start, he might just be hit a block for the moment, but it will be up against no talent crits, so the Meepo as well as the Bane heading to the mid. That leaves a one-on-one matchup. Moon up against the Tuskar. It is the Slaughter and the Tuskar together. We're an interesting melee brawl going off on that front.
They immediately counter with the lane ward here, OG. Getting a bit of a bonus out of that.
Really, really effective too when OG looked for that rune control. Like, you're running a Meepo, like...
This is a pretty difficult lane for CDEC to win, the bottom lane. I think OG's is just stronger on paper as long as they prevent the line from pulling, which they have with their wards. So just playing this 2-on-2 is great for them. It might force a rotation from Q to the bottom lane on the Silencer to deal with it. But for now, he's in the mid lane cursing up. No-Tail, trying to drain him of mana.
I love the hero which Aggressive managed to pick up. Miracle got a little aggressive there with the Flame Guard, but Garda just expends his stun. But Aggressive managed to get the Mud Golem, so he's harassing whenever her boulder comes off cooldown, and he keeps throwing it into fly.
Exchange up top. Moon Meander is actually getting some really good damage out here on XC. We'll force out the salve. He went 2 Clarities and a Mango. That's a lot of mana regen for this lane though, and he might just be trying to trade with Moon Meander knowing that he's got more mana in the tank.
No-Tail, you're not a healthy man. In fact, that attack on the edge of the Acid Spray with the Creep Wave hitting him as well. Drops down to 70 HP, but the bottle charges will kick in. This isn't exactly where Meepo wants to be. He wants to be aggressive so he can get that second Meepo up. It's becoming very difficult to do so, and now he also, because he wasn't able to stay aggressive, the 2-minute rune contest will be there. And Alchemist just makes a break for the top. Crit could just nightmare him up and deny up the rune, which is probably going to be his primary goal, and actually does so. That's actually...
he bottled it.
Okay. No-Tail actually gave him his bottle, and now you're able to get the instead with the boots. They have enough damage. It's going to be first blood going the way of OG. Not only do they deny the rune, get the full bottle charges coming back the way of that mid lane, but they get the kill on the Alchemist to boot.
This is so important for OG to get off to a good start in this mid lane. No-Tail getting first blood on the Meepo is the best hero they could have hoped for. Level 3.5 actually already now, as he did have 2 Meepos when he got that kill, so getting some nice experience out of that.
And he's going to just start to skyrocket as far as levels go, pulling the Meepo back to start the stack. And this one I ask you the question, man. How is the Doombringer meant to keep up with the Meepo? Because he's level 3, sitting on the safe lane, he's having to have Lion babysit him the entire time out of fear. Like, where is your damage meant to come from to kill or control the Meepo?
He can't keep up with the Meepo, and he also isn't a good counter to the Meepo. So the main thing Aggressive needs to keep an eye on in this game is being able to find a Doom onto Emperor Spirit mainly. They do have Global Silence to prevent the Grave from having an impact in the later fights, so they just need to make the best out of the situation they have. Once again, the real problem for CDC is that they haven't counter-warded their pull, and they really need it. I think finally now Q is going to find it. If no, he actually still hasn't found this ward from OG. They need that in this bottom lane.
The Sentry is in range. The issue is he has to cut through too many trees. He's only got 1 Tango left at the moment. And so he actually forced a full defensive tri-lane out from CDEC. with an off-lane Ember Spirit, who's also, he's sitting, if you actually look at just the CS, almost all the OG cores are sitting at 20 CS 4 minutes in. CDEC all below that, 14, 13, 13. There's just, the money's just not looking great. Notel's even going to give himself a double damage rune on the top lane. XE is not going to walk into this.
Notel could have actually tried to have a crack at him there for a kill. There's no mana in the Tusk, but he wanted to bottle up and just secure the rune. He did have the boots advantage, and of course Meepo with that great base move speed could have caught up.
Maybe just doesn't want to take the risk just yet. He's still got a lot of farming inside the jungle to do. Doesn't want to have to come back to the mid lane just yet. Crit getting a lot of space in this mid against Shiki. Obviously Shiki is going to start farming, but he's staying in this mid lane the entire time, so there's no big stacks that are happening for him. And because the supports are pulled out of bottom lane, which where is the initiation going to come from? Miracle, Q's behind him, they have enough stuns controlled, but the shallow grave from Fly. Miracle, they need more damage, that's why Aggressive is diving in there, the poison touch can't slow it down enough.
-2.
You starting to count now?
There are some heroes in this game that it's very important to keep an eye on the int for. I think the Slardar and the Ember Spirit are the ones that get crippled the most from losing this intelligence. Ember has decently high mana costs. Activating Fire Rim is 150. Of course, your Chains and Flame Guard, not the cheapest abilities either in the game. And maybe more importantly than any of that, you have a habit of how you play the hero and what you feel like you can get away with. And just if you die twice to the Silencer and you lose 50 mana, you have to play a little bit differently than what you're used to.
It's crazy how much OG are getting across the map. So even though you might be able to find that kill on the off-laner, if you check out the experience graph, like we're 5 minutes in, you're already looking over at a 1500 advantage going the way of OG.
That's Meepo.
Yep, it really is. It's because they're able to basically run the initial mid lane if it gets the first blood, and OG capitalize on the situation by throwing the Meepo into the jungle. So he can flash farm inside there, and then the Bane soaks the experience of a mid. He may not be finding as much CS, but you're still up against an Alchemist, and you're holding just shy of a 1k net worth advantage. And this is a greedy Alchemist too. No concoction leveled up from Shiki. He went for a 3-0-2-1 build.
Yeah, the fact that OG are ahead on net worth right now with an Alchemist with this build bodes very well for them. It's only a 700 lead, not that big, and now he's getting a stack, so we're probably closing in on even. But I still think this is a well executed first 6 minutes for OG. The Slardar has got a lot out of the safe lane. I think even though the Emperor died, he's okay. Notel mid.
Yeah, he might even... Okay, he's not going to turn around on this one. Crit's not really offering enough to him at the moment. Q and Guard still with a lot of disables up their sleeves. But they give now space for Aggressive on the bottom lane, so Aggressive's going to get closer and closer to this level 6. I still want to come back to the question. Okay, so you say CDEC can't counter the Meepo. Their heroes don't really look good for that. How do you still have a game-winning strategy?
Oh, they can definitely counter the Meepo. I just don't think it's the Doom that has to do it.
I think it's all the Alchemist?
Alchemist can get a lot of damage in his build. He can even consider, for this particular reason, going for maybe a Mjolnir build-up in this game. Alternatively,
it looks like he's going to go for the standard Radiance though.
Absolutely, he has to go that first. But somewhere down the line, he can itemize against the Meepo specifically if they feel the need for it. You have Finger of Death online, which is great. And actually, don't underestimate Global Silence against Meepo. It's really annoying playing Meepo, who is so combo dependent, and getting shut down by that. So they have the tools. They just need to get through the early part of the game without losing too hard. And I think so far,
top lane
pretty even.
Smoke gang coming on Miracle, and they're coming in. He's got a Spirit over on the side, so the shards don't actually lock in. In fact, XZ burning underneath that Flame Guard. The Lion does not have Finger of Death yet. Moon would love to initiate, but he still doesn't have that Blink Dagger. And he had to sacrifice his space on that top lane. Now the Ember Spirit's rotated off the bottom, because Doom is up, obviously. You can't leave the Ember on bottom lane then.
I'm hearing Sprint. Looks like OG are interested in looking toward mid, but there's a good ward placed in the lane for CDC.
If OG want to force down buildings, can they do it?
Doesn't get the rune. This is actually a very good play from OG, securing this bounty rune to prevent Shiki from getting us all these stacks. There's going to be so much money coming in, and that's one thing OG haven't managed to do in this game, is contesting the early stacks.
That's what I'm wondering, like, is it worthwhile for OG to start pushing? And can they actually push down these tier 1 towers, get aggressive wards down so they can see where CDEC are moving?
Not yet. Their lineup can't do that yet. Meepo is not strong yet. They don't have any good abilities for pushing towers whatsoever. And CDEC have great defensive abilities. Ice Shards are scary. Doom's level 4 Scorched Earth. There's Acid Spray. It's not going to happen. So They have to play a little bit of a farming game, and I think more importantly for OG, you turn your eyes toward Roshan at the right time and make sure you get the Aegis for the Meepo, and then you can play from there.
Okay.
It's going to take a while, though.
And they don't really have a long time. It's 800 gold until the Alchemist has that relic. There's going to be a very good timing on that Radiance for CDEC.
Yeah, Shiki's getting very rich.
And
completely uncontested.
Doom just keeps farming on the bottom lane. It's a greedy build too. He's just going for the hand of Midas Doombringer. So it really is all about that hold back and farm kind of style for CDEC. Notel's also chosen his first item. It might just be the casual point booster for now to go into the Blink Dagger after. Because it's still going to be part of the Aghanim Scepter eventually.
I think he gets the full axe and plays farm. It's difficult for him to play aggressively right now. And the more I see this game unfold, I think the last 3 minutes, it's favoring CDEC more and more because they're just going to ramp up and beat them on greed, ultimately. If they don't find enough farm on Miracle for OG, the Meepo will at some point be in a lot of trouble in this game.
Is that not when you want to have the Blink Dagger, when you want to initiate with the Meepo?
Yeah, but it's just not time for it yet. He can't. It's just difficult to see the way the game is flowing right now, finding a lot of key kills with the Meepo. They're going to need the Blink Dagger on Slardar, then we're talking, because then they have something to couple it up with, and it's just playing it very slow. I think what OG could do is they can smoke their Bane and then try to find a pick that way.
That could work with your Fiend Script. Nightmare one, Fiend Script the other, so it won't even matter if there's two heroes there. And they're looking down towards bottom lane. Notel with his Invis rune. He just wants to get the initial control over on Garda. But Garda's got no creep wave, so it's natural for him to back up. The pull was happening from aggressive. And Notel may even find a better hero to kill off. If he can get this Doombringer, he's going to be very, very happy. And now the Earthbind actually missing. The secondary one will arrive in the Doom. It's over on Notel. The Fiend Script holds the Doombringer in position. And Notel moving the Doom Dump Meepo back a little bit further. And they're going to find XD. Snowballing forward with the Walrus Punch. He's still focusing on that Meepo, but the Ember Spirit Miracle arrives. Slaughter beats him down with the Amplification, the follow crush. Garda will drop as well. They grab three. These little mini Doomlings still haven't moved themselves. Now they realize they actually exist. Those stuns could have helped out CDEC a lot during the fight. But either way, it's still a 3-for-0 trade going the way of OG.
Man, OG got way more than they came for there. CDEC could have easily just backed off and given them one kill, but they tried to help him out. They rotate in. And it's classic CDEC style to try to reinforce and win fights. It's something they've been so exceptionally good at in past games and at TI as well. Just showing up in numbers and casting their spells very well. But this time around, that was definitely not the play. And dooming the Meepo proved to be completely useless.
They're fighting bottom. Snowball in on top of Crit. Aggressive to the front lines. Throws out their stun and actually tries to keep Fly out. And with the Global Silence, they can bring down both of these supports of OG.
And this was one spell they were lacking when OG engaged. I just checked over on Sound, so he was 5 experience away from having Global when they opened the Doom. And I think OG found their perfect timing. Now it was their turn to, I don't want to say overstay their welcome, because that's not exactly what CDEC did, but at least get outnumbered and have to be careful they don't give too much back the other way. Alchemist is getting very big.
And Alchemist is getting bigger, but that Aghanim Scepter rush you were talking about, Notel is in fact doing it. And roughly 800 gold away from completing it because of the actions on bottom lane. Just needs a little bit more time. Aggressive. Looks like his next item is, well, it's going to be drums for the Doombringer. I'll be realizing he's a little weak at the moment. But he's still got a really great net worth. Like, he's sitting almost at 5.2k. He's not that far behind a Meepo, who's been involved in a whole bunch of kills, farmed up a hell of a lot of jungle. But this is the hand of Midas and the Devour, the high-level Devour kicking in.
The main important discrepancy is the one between Slaughter and Tusk. It's about 1,000 gold lead for Moon over the Tusk, and getting his Blink Dagger is going to be very important.
They're coming again. Fiend Script going to start over on aggressive. Fly also arriving. Garda needs to get the stun on Crit and Fly. Well, there's not much he can really do about this, but the Ember Spirit, he can do a lot more. In comes Miracle. The Searing Chains and aggressive. That Doom is up. Garda won't burn to the Searing Chains. Or the Flame Guard that was up, but Moon still wants to come in. The Nightmare helps him set up for this with the Amplification aggressive. He's got no armor. He's negative to 18 armor. They could just basically have a Sif breathing. Oh, with the Earthbinds barely missing the TPing out Lion. It had to be a millisecond away from canceling the TP.
That was very, very close. And We didn't get to see it very much just there, but of course the amplify damage together with Meepo is absolutely ridiculous damage output when No-Tail gets to lay into the target. OG with the superior rotation here, though, they simply brought more heroes to the table and claim an important kill. This should also be Boots of Travel now coming for Miracle.
It's Boots of Travel for Miracle. It's 200 gold, basically this creep wave for Moon to finish up his Blink Dagger. OG purposely backed off to give him the last hit in the bottom tower. So they'll have that Blink Dagger. The Aghanim Scepter is done for the Meepo. And the first major item for the Alchemist after picking up the Radiance is in fact going to be Boots of Travel. So is it going to be CDEC dodging the fights of OG?
I think he's going to play the standard split push build with now Manta Style and then Octarine Core. Try to force OG to deal with it, but Meepo is a great hero at dealing with split push. Of course, has so many resources you can just distribute across the map, and we've seen No-Tail do it on quite a few occasions on that hero. I do still think the game plan now for OG has to be find one key pick off and then go Roshan. Like Meepo plus Slaughter is completely ridiculous for killing off the stone guy.
Well, Moon is staring at aggressive. He's got no help to come and fight. And OG, well, it's a group up for a smoke. It's sitting on the Dazzle. And Q, he moves forward to plant out an Observer Ward. So they see No-Tail moving up. I don't think he wants to snowball into this one. The Walrus Punch will be there. The Global Silence Control is there too. But they don't have enough damage. Meepo, he's down to 168. And there it is from the Silencer to find the kill. CDEC, they do find something. But can they get more? Moon shouted up on the hillside. Shiki can't join the fight just yet. Now he can. As that Phoenix Grip being cancelled out by Crit. And aggressive to the front lines. Miracle still wants to fight. The Doom hasn't worn off just yet. But Meepo buys back into the game. Can't hit the Earthbinds. Finally, now he's able to secure up Q. While the fight was in the multiple parts. You've got the Suns keeping Moon out. Both the concoction as well connecting. The Silencer will dive back behind the tier 1 tower. But Shiki on the run out through the bottom river. They're coming in closer with the Ember Spirit jumping forward.
Oh my god!
Alchemist is denied by the Samus. But OG, with the 2 kills on CDEC, they can get what they came for and make this buyback worthwhile. Now they move in for Roshan.
He got denied by the little Satyr, I think. It was because of amplified damage that happened, but Shiki going there for that play, of course, was the only play he had. Here goes Roche, like you said. It's a big buyback to commit for No-Tail, but end of the day, definitely worth it for OG.
And OG, now they got to try and still throttle up a little bit more. Slow down this game. The concern right now for both Lion as well as Tuskar, I'm wondering is can they get into the fights at the right time? Like, you mentioned the fact you've already got the Blink Dagger over on Moon. So the Slaughter can initiate in, but Tuskar still walking around with Arcane Boots as well as his Magic Wand and Bottle. There's no Blink Dagger over on him. The Lion, who is normally a very greedy support, is still halfway towards that Blink Dagger. Is taking CDEC time until they've got those control factors arriving.
I think it all depends on the global silence. You saw the fight they took there. It looked horrendous when they jumped in. They didn't even have Doom there. I think they didn't have Silencer either, and they still managed to get a key kill because they timed their abilities correctly. Imagine if they take that team fight where they jump in with all 5 heroes together and it just goes way better. It is true that if they don't use the global silence very well, they will kind of get run over. So there's so much pressure on CDC to make it work, but with the right execution, I definitely think they can do it. Now they're going to be looking for Miracle.
Snowball up, global silence will go, and Miracle, well, he didn't get fully controlled. He wants to spirit himself out, but with a Doom already triggered on him, OG will cut their losses. Aggressive will get the kill over on Miracle. But meanwhile, in the mid lane, No-Tail's taking out that tier 1 tower. So it'll end up being a hero and a tier 1 tower trade-off.
OG do push pretty fast though.
They may go for more.
Trying to go for the tier 2 here and force CDC to rotate back. We're already porting back the Tusk. He's not the greatest defensive hero, but OG are gonna play safe. Especially now with Alchemist showing up. Now they definitely can't push it. They could try to look for a kill maybe here. It's a Blink Dagger for No-Tail.
Now with 2 Blinks up, this is the time when OG would feel confident enough they could find that kill. There's your Blink Crush. Wait for that Meepo to arrive as well. A little bit far away with the poof. So not a lot of damage, and the Snowball is dragging him over into No-Tail. If he flips, but the damage is too much on the Tuskar to survive, especially when Miracle moves forward like that on the back of the Spirits. Aggressive to get crushed. He's amplified. The negative armor, he's just getting carved apart by OG. They want more. Q's on the run for the Finger of Death. The Aegis Immortal will finally be triggered, but you've still claimed all 3 cores of CDEC, and now you take the tier 2 tower. Is it even worth pushing to tier 3, force the buybacks? You've already burned through the fortification now.
I think they can. They know Global Silence is on cooldown. They know Finger was just used. It is still a risk to take, especially if Meepo dies without buyback. They could push the other direction and get 1 or 2 towers, so they are gonna...
They draw the line for top. They draw the line for the tier 1 top.
Man, XC panicked there. He thought they were gonna keep committing on the Alchemist, but actually the moment he started the snowball, OG had already pulled back, so I think they could have just sacrificed the Tusk and got out. But again, CDEC with the help of a friend syndrome just commit too much into the fight, and they end up losing 3 heroes when maybe they could have got away with just sacrificing 1.
So much of it also committed onto the Meepo. Like, the Aegis carrier for OG. OG didn't care if you're snowballing onto the Meepos or if you're going to concoct up every single Meepo. Yeah, your damage waits a little bit longer, but it bought all the space for Miracle to do his work in the fight. And now CDEC, they can fight again because Global Silence is back off cooldown. But OG's starting to reach a point where they may just be a little too tanky. That Ultimate Orb is now over on the Meepo. So with a blink with the Ags, where does Notel go from here? Does he try and... Obviously it shouldn't be a Linken's for him, but... Is it worthwhile just going directly into something like a Skadi? Or is it better to go for something like a Scythe Device and get more control?
The Hex is very good because he's against Global Silence. The Skadi, I don't know, I think it's a difficult choice, actually. The tankiness is very useful. It might allow him to survive through Global so that he can get graved. Of course, it increases damage output a lot as well. The Hex just gives so much solo pick-off potential, though, so...
Well, for now, he's just resolving himself to farm. OG still haven't worked out there's that Observer Ward sitting around Roshan. They keep walking past it, revealing their positions, and CDEC just keep falling back. Funnily enough, it actually helps OG because it allows them to get more control of the map without pushing forward too far. Good item now up for Garda. He has that Blink Dagger on the line. They've finally got that Blink instant Hex follow-up stun.
They have so much good lockdown. It's all about the initiation for them, if they can find the key kill. Of course, being able to kill off Meepo instantly just lowers OG's damage output by like 50%. He still is very tanky on the Meepo, almost 2,000 health.
Speaking of damage output, this Doombringer is still walking around with a Mud Golem inside of him. He hasn't found himself an Alpha Wolf or refuses to take an Alpha Wolf.
I don't think this Hurl Boulder is very useful anymore. It's definitely about time to get an Aura. Wildwing wouldn't be half bad either, just getting that Armor Aura for the team. Or an Ice Armor Ogre, perhaps also a valid choice.
CDEC is smoking up. They want to use this Blink Dagger to initiate on Miracle. Straight Blink to Hex. And OG were giving him space in the middle lane to finish the Battle Fury. So he's got everything else apart from that Broadsword. So he's looking good at that point. But okay, TP up to top lane instead. Find the farm well away from CDEC. This Observer Board gives a lot of vision. So CDEC understand there's 3 heroes here. Garda blinks forward, the smoke breaks, but no tell. It was the Blink Meepo.
Yep.
So he gets himself away. If it was any other Meepo, we would have been in trouble.
That's a big missed opportunity for CDEC. You look at the gold graph and you're like, oh, this is a pretty even game. But I just think OG's lineup has more potential in terms of scaling. CDEC need to be ahead at this point. They have Devour, they have Alchemist farming so much, and they're still behind on gold. So in terms of just relative strength right now, I think OG's lineup is just way stronger. CDEC have to outplay them pretty radically right now. This item could help. It's gonna start putting some pressure on multiple lanes and of course ramp up his farm even further.
That Mana Star doing wonders for an Alchemist. Just let the illusions do most of your work. I'm kind of surprised that Notel didn't commit himself a little bit more time. Okay, now he's going to do it. It's the double damage rune sitting on bottom river. Like the amplification of damage when you spread it across all 5 of your Meepos, and he can time it too because he's got that bottle charge. And with 5 levels also in front of the Alchemist, he is so ready to fight. The Dire Observer was watching the Alchemist farm up, and now the illusions come out. They won't be able to scout because they haven't been blocked by OG's movements. That smoke is happening, but CDEC is so aware for this. They got one Observer Ward pretty deep inside the Dire jungle, so they understand when OG are moving into their jungle aggressively. And the fact they're missing across the map apart from Miracle, it's an obvious bait.
If Shiki dies, they lose Rex. I think so. This is a very important moment for CDEC, and they might actually just have given them an opportunity. Shiki gets a little bit too greedy.
Crush just misses by Moon. And now XZ, maybe they feel like they got enough because you got Garda ready to come in from behind. He can blink and hex over on Miracle. The Slider Fist was just used, so evasion's removed for the moment, but they don't go for the opportunity. They're still feeling like OG are all on the other side of that tree line. Or at least they're acting like it.
Medium Roshan timer. So pretty average here. This should go to OG the moment it spawns. It's very difficult to see CDC being in a position to challenge it right now.
Notel can buy his full scythe. He can also buy the full Skadi.
Yep.
So the choice shall now be made.
Curry is flying back to base. And he is not buying anything just yet. I think he's keeping his buyback.
It makes sense. He's only got a surplus of 2.1k over on the Meepo. And there's no reason for OG to take a risk. It is going to be the Hex?
Yep. This is going to sacrifice his buyback though, so he needs to make it happen. Miracle getting some very important information here. He was actually spotted by a Radiant Sentry, but immediately jumps out. He sees them moving.
So quick.
Just gathering information.
And then they just take all the farm. If CDEC try and come over and make a play for Roshan, they're actually smoking up and rotating over to the dire side of the river first. So Fly will come close, he'll break the smoke over onto. If Fly's the only casualty of war here for OG, they're very happy with this. And Meepo straight in, but the big 5-man stun combining with the Doom Finger of Death. Do they have enough to get through him with the stuns? No tails down for the count. 86 seconds on the sideline, no buyback available. CDEC, they have a window of opportunity here, and with a follow-up stuns from Garda, they're able to catch up to Crit, taking out 3 players here from OG. Crit unable to survive a Miracle. He also has to back out. CDEC, how hard can they push now? Or can they push? They just go for Roshan?
That would be such an incredible steal, because this was basically going to be a freebie for OG within the next 2 minutes. They just wait for the lanes to push out a little bit. The moment CDC have to go back to defend one lane, they don't even sneak the Roche. They could write in all chat, hey CDC, we're going to Roche right now, and before they can actually get to the pit, it would be dead. So CDC being able to grab this timing at this exact point, this is what they were looking for, knowing that there was this collateral.
It's taking them so long. A Slider Fist Searing Chains now, a Spirit inside the pit as well. Roshan is taking so long for them to die. For him to die, Shiki's the only one that can really do the damage, because Aggressive has no aura, and now they start losing their armor as well. Roshan, like, he is slowly ticking out. Maybe they will get here in time. Moon's ready to jump. The Dire Observer lets them see everything in CDEC. Now they're finally de-warding that, but in comes Miracle. They go for the jump kill by the Dire. Picked up by Atmosphere. Moon, the Shallow Grave will keep him alive as well. Phoenix is keeping Silencer off the field. There's no global silence. There's no extra control. There will be the Sun finally coming out from Aggressive, but what have you really lost? Absolutely nothing for OG. You burn the Agassi model on XD. Searing Chains are on cooldown for the moment. That's what allows him to survive. Aggressive, though, will not be so lucky. He'll doom over on Miracle, but the supports arrive. It's Notel CDEC. They have to cut their losses. Aggressive, you are that loss.
Such a great opportunity from OG there because of that Fire Spirit giving the vision of the Roshan. Easy blink double stun for Moon Meander, and Steel coming in from Miracle. He does lose the Aegis, but that was a play they had to try to make. It was actually not even that risky considering what they had at their disposal.
It still begs the big question, where is that damage from CDEC? You had the Doom and the Alchemist, your two strongest cores in that pit, but they just didn't have enough DPS.
They lack global silence, basically.
Yep.
Because if they could have just globaled before the starter blinked in, they would have taken the Roche, but OG, knowing that that was used for the fight that set up for the Roshan in the first place.
It may not have stopped Moon from jumping in. Now top lane. Garda, this is a smoke move from OG, and instant blink, not going to happen. Shiki already starting up his concoction. Unfortunately for him, there's no TP available while he's got that concoction running, so Crit moves over. They go for the brain tap, the follow-up crush. Garda is there, but hello, no tail, and goodbye Garda as well as Shiki. The Dazzle Poof heal. That combo of damage, like the combination of both magical and physical, when you have all 5 Meepos around one target, let alone a Lion who's that squishy.
Well, when you're amplified up and you take the Shadow Wave physical damage, It's actually a one-shot on the line. If he's amplified and we Shadow Wave the 4, or the 5 Meepos rather, he dies instantly. So the damage output from OG is exceptionally high, the one from CDC is a lot lower, and it's just the story of these fights, right? It's all about who gets the jump. I think if CDEC don't manage to initiate on their terms, they just can't win fights. There's just way too much damage coming their way.
And OG already looking for another jump. Hotel's getting bigger and bigger. He's got another ultimate orb, so we start the run again for his next big item. How's Miracle looking? He's also got an ultimate orb of his own. For Ember Spirit, though, it was probably more worthwhile to go for that Lincoln Sphere up against the Doombringer.
I think it might be a Manta just to break global, because the Lincolns against Doom is good, and at the same time it isn't, because if any other spell hits you first and you just get doomed afterwards, then the item provides nothing, whereas the Manta, he can just stay at the back, wait for the global, then when it comes out, he can make his entrance into the fight. And at that point, Doom might have already been used on another hero. So there are advantages to both items. It is going to be the Lincolns. We've seen in this tournament so far, a lot of the times players playing against Doom have actually prioritized going for a Manta to cause the confusion rather than trying the single hero with Lincolns, but the extra added value here is he's playing against the Lion. So it might be the reason he's prioritizing it after all.
Yeah. And he also has, like, he's got Fly behind him. That Shallow Grave is always there. You've still got Heal to save you. You've got Nightmare in case things get a little rough on the secondary initiation. Like, the Meepo doesn't really need it. Like, No-Tell's at a point where he's got such survivability.
This is a very, very good item for Crit. Now he can purge global with Greaves, and defensively Nightmare the target of CDC. And he can, of course, also get a Fiend Scrape off.
Where is CDC's team fight then? Once the Greaves is, as the Greaves is already done.
Well, they still silence everyone else. So...
True. It doesn't take off everyone of OG, but it's still able to have that big control of the Bane. There's a reason why he's being prioritized in the picks as supports early on. He's just such a good all-round controller. And OG, they're actually playing fairly defensive at the moment. Like, yeah, you don't have the Aegis Immortal, the next Roshan, they're still potentially 3, almost 4 minutes away. You just keep the farm going. Crit, for some interesting reason, is hanging in the tree line on the top lane.
Was this the first time Aggressive got his Wolf? He just devoured one?
Yeah, that's the first time. He's still been sitting on that Mud Golem for the entire game.
So now they've got a bit of damage from that, but they're definitely going to need to itemize damage afterwards. I think this Doom, after his BKB build-up, he might go for an AC to ramp up their damage a bit if Alchemist doesn't get it. Or... I'm still considering whether CDEC or thinking about Mjolnir. But the minus armor is just such a big problem. They don't stay alive long enough for the Mjolnir to get a lot of procs on either the passive nor the static. Whatever that's called.
It's the Octarine for the Alchemist now.
Oh, for sure. He gets that first. And
then the Mjolnir.
Then it's Mjolnir, AC, or... I don't know if there's any better choice. I kind of need some armor.
Is there any use to giving an Aghanims upgrade to anyone on CDEC? Obviously, the Tuskar is a hell no. What about everyone else from CDEC?
Just to give one more time?
The Aghanim Scepter upgrade to CDEC. Like, is there anyone else that would really make it, make use of it?
It's kind of nice to give it to the Lion. If the OG heroes bunch up in the right way. Oh, they found Miracle.
There's your Hex, there's your follow-up stun. It's going to be a pretty quick kill. The movement was coming over from Fly, but he couldn't get in range to get that Shallow Grave off. So a good little bit of breathing room created for CDEC. There's no buyback on this Ember. And No-Tell's already leaving too.
Oh, he's leaving one behind. For a bit.
That Alchemist Illusion's going to scout him.
Yeah, he's good.
Okay, now the push.
And Crit has been standing here for a good minute now. And now he's porting away. Oh, that wasn't really that interesting.
I still don't know what he was trying to achieve. Like, what was the trap? Like, what was the trap he was trying to do here? Because he got no BTs on the Meepo, so he's not going to just jump onto the creep wave.
No, but Meepo could still maybe push out the wave, and then when someone comes to defend, they can get the blink surprise. So that must have been what he was thinking, but they were pretty far away from accomplishing that in that instance. Oh, XC?
Yeah, that Hex on Tuskar, but...
Oh, they wasted the Hex now.
About an aggressive just 40 doomed over on Fly. Crit will have that Fiend Script cancelled by the Global Silence. He'll also die over on the Radiant side, and aggressive won't keep this chase going on the Dazzle. Oh, actually, yeah, he will. He's got Blink Dagger back off cooldown, but Scorch's only got a couple of seconds left. Same for the Doom.
And Axe on him wouldn't be half bad either in the fights, as long as he stays alive long enough. So if he dooms, say, the Ember, his entire goal in that fight just is to keep the Doom on the Ember until he dies. And with an Aghanim, if you have nothing else to do with Alchemist, of course you pull them, because they give stats too, right? It's not just the ultimate upgrade you get.
Yeah.
But I think it's far down the priority list so far for Shiki to give Axe away. I think he needs to 6-slot himself first, even with a Moon Shard, before that becomes the best choice.
The only reason I'm starting to think about it is just because of the ability for OG to burst down the Alchemist before he can really respond. You kind of need someone else to step up to the plate. And that's when you look towards the Doombringer, because he's the only other hero on CDEC that's got any level of net worth. The next place you drop down to is sub 8k on the Tusker.
Yeah, that's quite a drop off. Oh, it's smoke on OG now. By the way, they went for a Manta on the Meepo, so they can start making fake plays with the illusions. Of course, you can poof on them. They do deal less damage than the actual clones, but still a very useful item. Can also take off the global silence, but of course only from his primary. It's mainly just for extra split push and confusion.
Not where you want to be. Side of Fist Searing Chains, they control him up. He doesn't have his chemical rage stun. And now, well, he still doesn't get it off. 70 seconds, no buyback available. Space has just been created for OG.
Their waves aren't very good though, so they can't reach the base. And there's no Roshan either, so this is just a kill for the sake of the kill. But to still give them a pretty big advantage. This is the swing in gold for killing him off right now is maybe 2,000 or 3,000. All the potential gold that he loses from being dead. And they could have maybe got a Roshan. I think the reason they went for the smoke was that, okay, if we get him, we could get Rosh, but it's a long respawn, so they got a little unlucky there.
It's also that time for OG. Like, OG just completed up the Lincoln Sphere on the Ember Spirit. He wants to get buyback. And you look over towards the Slaughter, and Slaughter's only a couple hundred gold away from completing up his BKB. So when Moon has that during the fight, CDEC's going to have a very hard time keeping global on everyone. In fact, CDEC, they're coming over to contest Roshan, but OG, they read the move. The global silence will come out, but XC, he'll snowball for protection, but nothing will protect him from this OG lineup. Maybe it will. The Blink Dagger up, a miracle. They'll keep the chase going. XC in the tree line. Well, okay, they can't reach him. The shots are keeping him out.
Aggressive Doom the Lincoln.
That's not the greatest play in the world now. Aggressive. Well, he's going to go down as well. The Doombringer on the sideline. Shiki is the sole survivor. Instantly starts a split push. The waves again, the only thing that is saving CDEC, and that long timer on Roshan respawn.
The long Roshan respawn might have actually been fortunate for OG, because now they got a couple of bonus kills and they can still go and claim it. If it would have spawned instantly, the time CDEC started moving in to try and have a look at it and maybe potentially contest, they would have killed Roshan already and they would have given up. And OG are in a very, very good position right now.
That they are. Meepo is in the perfect snug position. They've got an Ember Spirit who's split pushing around. All their items are perfect. While the gold doesn't really show up that much of a difference, like it's only 5,000 going the way of OG, that's the biggest advantage we've had for 37 minutes. It's the experience graph, which is basically a landslide. 20k going the way of OG.
It's going to start dipping less now that No-Tail is level 25 though. He has peaked out on experience. True. And yeah, okay.
But OG are not planning on letting this game go much longer. Like, I put a 40-minute clock on them previously. Now with Nagus Immortal into the hands of the Meepo, the cheese is over on the Ember Spirit. He actually he hasn't picked up his Mithril Hammer just because of this.
I don't think they're in that much of a hurry.
Well, why should they be? Like, they still understand that CDEC do not have the damage to deal with it. Aggressive's next item is defensive. He's going for the BKB build. It's taking him, for a guy who has Devour and Hand of Myers, it's taking him so long to complete up a BKB. The Shivas is there, but we're still not looking at damage. And the Alchemist is building into the Assault Cuirass. So you're still having trouble inflicting enough damage to kill off OG in the controlled time that you've got.
And the way you're used to aura items working, where you're like, oh, it makes a very big difference that you have Vlads and AC, it still, of course, makes a great difference. But Meepo just has overwhelming damage. Between his 5 Meepos right now, he hits as hard as a hero with its base damage and 2 Rapiers. They deal 153 damage each, and there's 5 of them, so you can multiply that up. You get about 100, about 750. So all those ore items, yes, they will reduce, but he's still gonna just... If he gets to hit them with amplified damage, they could have any item they want. They will vanish. It's all about the initiation and catching the Meepo off guard and killing him off. When he has the Aegis, though, it's just not a possibility for CDEC.
I'm wondering what Nortel's going to build into next, and I got an inkling he's going to be looking towards just that second level BTs while he's got the Aghanims up. Because then he can move with the Ember. And this Ember Spirit almost has his BKB completed. So BKB plus the Lincoln Sphere. This is inevitable for CDEC. That OG are just going to come with full force. And they could just take the fight, 5-on-5. They may not even care about Global Silence anymore. The Aghanim Scepter has even arrived for the Bloody Dazzle. As he walks around with the stolen gem from CDEC. He's got Q's gem on this Dazzle.
They're going to lose all map control, and if you think Alchemist is good at split pushing with this build, then you're right. But Meepo's even better, so they don't even have to worry about the problem with Alchemist constantly forcing them back.
The BKBs are up, and CDEC, like, what do you even do now? Like, do you just wait for OG, hope you've got enough buybacks that you can defend, which, by the way, they've only got a buyback on Shiki, the only man, and without Chemical Rage, he won't survive in a fight. Even with Chemical Rage, I still question he can survive in a fight. Regeneration doesn't help you that much when you got 5 Meepos around you. As
the problem I have for CDC is I don't know what item build they should go. There's no like magical solution that just wins this game or brings them back on even footing. Like even, let's say we just let the game continue for 20 minutes and each team gets to buy 2 extra core items on every core. I don't think it even favors them that much. I mean, Meepo is going to stop scaling.
You see what he's saying out of this too?
Yep.
It's
probably E-Blade?
Yeah, E-Blade. The butterfly doesn't make as much sense. But when you got that E-Blade, that instant shotgun...
It's to protect... It's mainly good on Meepo for defensive purposes, so you can just target it on the Meepo that is getting targeted. You obviously only have the ability available on the main, but it also gives very good stats. It gives 40 agility, and of course all the Meepos benefit from that. It's a very good item on the hero.
Well, OG, they waited out. They're actually using this Ember Spirit illusion as bait, putting the Lincoln Sphere shield on him, so you think it's the real one. As Moon gets a little bit of extra vision. That amplification over on the Tusker, and Tusker trying to stay away from the rest of his team, but doesn't, well... It's not really going to help in a moment as the amplifications just keep kicking in for OG.
That was a pretty believable movement with the illusion. Linkening it, healing it.
It's the bait. Oh, under the tip box. How is he going so fast? And now they lock in Shiki. They keep the ensnare up, and Nortel copping a hell of a lot of damage. He still needs his ad spray in the global styles. Stops kind of everything but crit. He stops even more aggressive counter-attack. This should be the game right now with OG. They have pinched the tent. They have planted the flag, and they own CDEC 2-0 in this best of 3. Removing one of the strongest teams at TI5. OG come in. They prove themselves in the lower bracket.
That was such a good Meepo pick. It was the ideal draft for OG because of the way they can play around this hero. They identify the opening to go for the hero. Just exceptional play from them. CDC, I think, looking at ease of execution, I'm saying this against the team with Meepo, but the ease of execution